Cycle Solutions is your one-stop shop for upgrades and service. Cycle Solutions, Fort Myers, and CycleSolutions.com. Taking your bike from the street to the strip.
Hello, this is Chris Bladell from Cycle Solutions. I've got a pretty old girl here, 52,000 miles on. It's a 2010 Screaming Eagle Street Glide. Don't see these very often. Anyhow, it came in and we're going to do a front end service, and we're going to put a tire on it. We're also going to do a JRI branded front internals cartridge kit on forks, new seals. And we're doing the same thing on the rear with their coil-over nitrogen charged performance shocks. This particular shock is going to be a 13-inch, so we're going to take the lows that are on there, which are 12s. We're going to add an extra inch of height to bring the bike up so it's more level. And I want to talk about this because we see this a lot, and we do a lot of suspension work on the road. Constantly you see these bikes come in, not just this one, but any bike that has this particular style shock. It has the real skinny spring, it's all floppy on this side. And then if you look at the other side, over here, the other side is the adjustable side with a much stiffer spring. So I can't really visualize this with this camera, but the tires all wear funny and in fact get cracks in them. It's like they almost sit crooked. You can visually see the tire kind of sits at an angle. It's hard to do it this way. So we're going to be putting a pair of JRI coilovers. We set the sag once they're on, so when you sit on it, it goes down about half an inch, give or take, and then you can squeeze this down even further if you want to make certain that, well, if you're carrying a big girl on the back, let's say, nothing wrong with big girls, so. But they need good shocks too. So anyway, we'll install these, get them on here. We find that you often have to install one side and kind of tweak the other one because they've been stuck in a position so long that you can't get the holes to line up. Once they're on, sag's set. This particular shock has about 40 clicks from all the way super soft to stiff as a board. So position 20, 21 is kind of a good position for someone who likes sport riding. Position 16 is more of a cushy. So these are a fully rebuildable American-made shock. They come out of Pennsylvania, and they basically come out of NASCAR's where they started. So that's enough about the rear end. Customer's going to love them. I have them on one of my display bikes. They're phenomenal. So coming over here, I want to talk about the front end. These are super cool. So this is a fully self-contained, nitrogen-charged, coil-over, adjustable, preload adjustable shock. This is the locker here, so you can actually take these apart and put different length lower ends on it. So if you want to drop the bike, you can. And then right here, this particular one's set at 3/8 of an inch with a locking screw. And once they're set that way, they can pretty much be considered to have about, I think I was told, 27 pounds preload on the spring. Things to keep these quiet, if you look in here, and there's a plastic guide with rubber O-rings. Basically what that does when the spring is completely coil bound, compressed, it keeps the spring from going different directions and contacting the internals on the sides of the forks inside. It makes them quieter. Oddly, the way these work, since they're nitrogen charged, everything's contained inside, so you really don't even have to have fluid, but the 4 ounces of fluid that'll go in here basically serve to slosh around and lubricate things, so if anything does touch, it doesn't make noise and it slides freely. So the nitrogen charging ports up here, again, these are fully rebuildable as well. I would call these more of the Z06 Corvette style shocks versus some of the other brands that we sell, which are a little bit more cushy. The Öhlins is probably an easier ride, but when you really want to throw them around and have a great time in the mountains and you want a bike that turns on a dime, this stuff is pretty trick. So, you know, you can see the way those work. They're quite stiff compared to the stock one, which you just flick up and down. Anyhow, we'll be taking these apart. We're going to put brand new seals in them when we do the job. So we'll completely disassemble this fork, clean it, service it, new seals, drop the cartridge in, and put it all back together. We use, in this particular case, they recommend the maximum fork fluid. This one gets 4 ounces a leg, and this is an 85-150 weight. JRI is specific about the fluid and the weight that you use, so we'll do that. Camera over this way. We'll kind of talk about the stock parts inside this fork leg. We went ahead and disassembled it and cleaned the insides. And we're going to be putting a new seal and whatnot inside of it. But this is basically what you get when you take one of these apart. You have the top, and you have the fork seal, and you have the primary spring, and this is the divider. I guess this is what some people would call the emulsion side of things. Basically, it keeps the oil, or it allows the oil to travel through from one side to the other when it compresses and rebounds. It's a pretty simple little valve, top out spring in the lower portion. So quite a lot different when you look at the JRI. This is their nitrogen chamber. You have your spring, you have your adjuster. Again, you can choose different length lowers, so you can set the height of the bike, whatever you wish. We'll be installing this here in a moment, putting new seals in. It has its new top out spring. It has the piece that goes in the top. On a factory piece, there's actually a rubber seal, so the fluids can be dropped in from the top and let out the bottom if you want to change it. In this particular case, like I said, there's only 4 ounces of fluid that goes in here. There's this much fluid that goes inside that fork leg. So if you're doing this install and you bought these from us online, I'll be happy to give you as much insight as I can, but I can tell you that one of the most frustrating jobs there is to put that fluid inside that fork leg. Take your time. You're going to go up and down. You're going to bleed the actual fork up and down so that you can get the fluid inside. But this is a pretty sophisticated single piece that does everything inside that fork leg. We'll be putting this one together here momentarily and installing it. I've already got the other leg up in there, and get this thing put back together for our customer. Perhaps we'll be able to do a video after the customer rides the bike with the customer, so he can kind of give us his 2 cents on what he feels about it. If you want to be notified when new videos from Cycle Solutions are released, hit the like and subscribe button to follow us.